We are here.
Hello, Stream. Thank you for being here, as you always are, I guess. and yeah, I had a wonderful conversation with David, and we talked about his biography, and he spoke about having a connection to you as a child, I would say, through this source, and which I found that awareness and how that developed is a very interesting way. Like, for instance, yeah, how does one exactly, just point blank, I mean, come to the realization and then come to that point where they can accept this bigger aspect of who they are and sit back and allow this bigger aspect to come forth, because there's a bit of fear in that as well, obviously, of losing oneself in this process, correct?
You have touched on a very relevant topic, and not by accident, of course. David has brought you up to speed with what transpired in his life up until now, and something that he has struggled with very recently is fully letting go, if you will, and allowing us to flow more freely all the time. And he has been guided to do this, to step into being more what you call a guru. Notice that you have people that are teachers and sharers of messages such as this, that embody more of what you would call the stereotype of the guru, and that serves an audience, certainly, but there are aspects of that can turn others off from the message. And David's intention from the very beginning, when he began sharing us, was to share something that is very palatable. We do not want to use the term normal, but something that is not so frightening, that does not automatically turn the viewer or the listener off. Because the intention is to share what we have to offer. What we have to offer will help all of humanity. But certainly we are aware that all of humanity is not ready for this. We are here to connect with those who are ready for our message. And we have stated from the very beginning, when David began sharing our message verbally and in writing, that we are here regardless of the numbers. We are here for one, or we are here for 1 million or 1 billion. We are flowing for those that are ready. David's human consciousness, his ego, plays a role in this. There is contrast on every single topic, always. The positive of David's ego is that he is willing to step out and put himself out there, if you will, stating that he shares source. He shares original thought. He shares the source of all creation. It takes ego to step out in that way and share that, even if one is perhaps appearing humble. There is an ego element involved in stepping out and sharing a message such as this. The negative aspect of the ego being involved, if you will, from your human perspective, is the fear of judgment that has to be gotten over, the needing of the attention of it, the desiring the big numbers, the desiring of the filling of the stadiums, if you will, and the message being embraced by millions. That is all ego consciousness, and there is not necessarily anything wrong with that. That balance of ego is exactly what is handled correctly, if you will, is exactly what is going to connect this message with the correct audience. That law of attraction element is always present in all things. And the ones who are seeking this type of information have multiple sources, as you are aware. We are flowing through many. In fact, our energy and our consciousness flows through all creation, which absolutely includes every single human being on planet Earth at this time. But the ones who are able to receive it and comprehend it and share it are a stark minority. And that by and large is connected to your intention before you even come to planet Earth. You do not all intend to come and be channels in the sense that you are receiving and sharing this information, but you absolutely do all intend to come and allow some of this, allow your path back to this type of thought at some point to reach you. And some of you, meaning humanity, never achieve that. And there is nothing wrong with that. That is not a judgment against that experience, because even that experience for a human being holds value in your expansion. But those that do find their way want more. Again, you are all expansive by nature. And as such, you are all wanting to progress. You are all wanting to do more, be more, have more, see more, experience more, and be more than you were before. That is your expansive nature. And you get to decide how you go about doing that and how you go about facilitating that expansion. And when you find words such as this, and they really resonate, when you're in high vibrational state and you're listening to what we have to share, it's going to resonate with you because this message is already part of you. And when you are in a lower vibrational state, the message is going to give you a different result. You're going to feel different about it, perhaps even turned off by it or angered by it. And you are all on different paths. So some are ready to hear this message and some are not. The positive impact of our teachings is really endless. Because once you claim your power, once you claim your worthiness, there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. But for many of you, there is some work to be done in detuning the old negative vibrations that you all pick up along your paths. Those limiting beliefs that do not serve you. You eventually reach a place in your lives where you realize that your beliefs are not serving you. And that is a turning point. But that is not the final turning point, because there are many who understand that their beliefs do not serve them. In fact, all humanity will come to that realization sooner or later. But the vast majority will throw in the towel, if you will, on actually making the changes to change those limiting beliefs, because it is work and it takes continual vibrational work. Because those of you that really understand law of attraction understand that you are only going to receive lasting positive change if you shift your vibration to that. And if you do not understand fundamentally the shifting of vibration, whether you call it vibration or you call it law of attraction or you call it confidence or you call it self-empowerment, all of these human labels are all mean the same thing. But if you are not able to bring yourself to a place of tuning to that frequency and hold yourselves there, you're not going to really change much. You're going to stay in these unwanted cycles and sort of be who you are throughout your lifetime. And then at the end of your lifetime, when you return to your completed state, you will still look back upon that life experience and understand that it held value for your expansion. So there's nothing wrong with any of this. This is why we say this is not for everyone. Everyone's not ready for it. As much as David, from his benevolent sense and his ego sense, wants to share it with the entire planet, he understands via our teachings that you're never going to get your entire planet, all of humanity, at the same vibration at the same time. In fact, that would be the true destruction of your environment if you did achieve that. But you are not in danger of that by any stretch of the imagination.
That's this idea of becoming a blended being. So when I think about, like, for you, the relationship between, can we say that maybe you are in a sense David's higher self in some respect? Can one say, use this terminology in some respect, that David is an aspect of you? You're an aspect of David too, I guess you can say. But what is the real goal here in walking this earth? Is it, so in the channeled state, for example, now he's channeling infinite wisdom, and it's giving him exactly what he needs to know. And it's always, but then we switch it off and do our day-to-day things, yeah? But is it possible to be in this connected state as a human without interruption? Or, I mean, this is kind of I've always been curious about this relationship aspect of self-discovery. And was David discovering that he is the stream?
David is in the process of discovering that he is the stream, and the stream is him, and there is really a oneness there, and he has held on to the human aspect for the lessons offered in it. And you are never, as a physical being, you are never going to fully overcome contrast. You are never going to fully reside at the top of your vibrational spiral at all times. He has seen in just the last few years of his life that he is at the top of that spiral most of the time. And that life is truly abundant up there. And there is great clarity and joy available up there. And he believes, and he is correct, that all humans can move their vibration up to that space. And a part of moving up to that space is the acceptance of contrast, is the acceptance that sometimes negative things are going to cross your path. And you're not always going to be able to immediately explain it. David's life has been on an upward trajectory for quite some time. And in the past several months, almost a state of what you would call perfection. Yet there's contrast. Yet he experienced identity theft not long ago that delivered a little bit of contrast to him, not much, but it was an annoyance and a disruption that did not have from his now perspective, a positive outcome. Eventually he will see that, but that is not available to him yet. He has got to make peace with that fully to see the value in it. He has also gained weight during the reset, the pandemic time, because instead of going to the gym and doing the physical things outdoors that he used to do, he is spending time entertaining himself and Michael by cooking and eating. And there has been weight gain. So there are aspects that are human challenges that are still present, even in a very, very high vibration. And that serves your expansion. Again, you are not going to reach a state of pure perfection until you return to your completed state. And then from that state of pure perfection, you're going to want nothing more than to come back to physical and experience contrast yet again. And very often, more contrast than you placed yourselves in the path of before.
Dear God.
You understand from that higher perspective that you can place yourself in the path of contrast. And even if that contrast results in your early demise, if you will, your early return to your completed state, perhaps you are a stillborn or even aborted fetus, that experience has value for you. That taking that risk to come into a higher risk environment with more contrast, perhaps illness or poverty or abuse or neglect or something of that nature very early on, will give you the opportunity for magnificent expansion, especially if you are able to pull yourself out of that. That represents a magnificent expansion from a human perspective. Those are your very favorite stories, all of you. You all love stories of triumph. You all love stories of triumph through adversity. Why is that? That is because you are expansive by nature, and overcoming obstacles is your true purpose for being physical. That is why you are here. You are here on planet Earth to come into a physical environment and discern things that are your physical preference, the physical interactions, the food, the beautiful scenery, the beautiful music, all of the things that you view with high appreciation are expressions of our energy, are expressions of source. And you are part of source, and you are seeing an expression of the very highest vibration part of you when you interact with these things. And if you interact with something and you believe that it's something that you can have or do or experience, you are at your very best because you are in an allowing state, and that is going to flow to you. When you come and discern a preference and do not believe that it can be yours and you hold yourself away from it, that is the source of all of your stress. And your stress is your source of multiple negative reactions, including all of your physical ailments, are a result of that.
This is very interesting because there's this, I would say that, for example, Abraham's message, as far as channeled messages, is to focus on the positive, right? And to pump that up and that raises your vibration, and not to focus on the negative too much. And the obviously, and I see that in my own life, how I can see exactly where I'm kind of avoiding certain conflicts, but I feel good, and my vibration is most of the time very quite high, I would say. I don't, and I wonder, it will come up when I'm ready to deal with it, the negative aspect, and it will it has to come up at some point in a manifestation event, as Joshua speaks about, and I feel like I'm on my path. It's just, it's so obvious, it becoming more obvious with the stuff I'm avoiding, because it has a negative charge for me, and that, I guess I will never completely obviously overcome that, quasi not completely accepting that, and I'm just have to accept that fact about being human, is that we're always going to have these construction sites where there's always going to be gaps, and but I like, what about focusing on the positive and not looking at the negative? How beneficial is that?
The brand of what we offer, if you will, and it's interesting that you bring this up. Of course, you are bringing this up in perfection, and one of the first things that David did not share with you that occurred with him when he began sharing our message is he asked very clearly, because he was a fan of Abraham. He absorbed a lot of their teachings, but he was also somewhat frustrated by their teachings, because no matter what he did in his personal life, even though he knew most of what they were teaching early on before he ever encountered them at all, he knew that there were things in his life that were dragging his vibration down, that were elements of his past. And as much as he desired to just be happy and just focus on the positive, as he was guided to by the Abraham message, he had things that when polarity would drag his vibration down, and polarity does, there were elements of his past that haunted him. And when he revisited these memories of his mother being verbally abusive and perhaps even physically abusive toward him, and his father not being present, and these negative things that happened to him, it lowered his vibration. And he knew that he needed to continually raise his vibration for more joy, for more clarity, and for the abundance that he wanted. And so he set the intention to create something for himself based on a combination of that which he absorbed from Abraham and that which he absorbed from us. We will tell you, we're all rooted in the same place. We are Abraham. Yep. But we are David's version of that. Abraham is Esther's version of our energy. We are not a we nor an I. We are a stream of consciousness, and not a singular entity, and not physical, certainly, and not human. We are awareness. We are knowing. We are original thought. We flowed through all. But those who set the intention and have the, for lack of a better term, skill set to channel are few and far between, as you know, and they're all different, and they're all serving a different audience. Because he asked very clearly, why channel when Abraham exists? We were very clear in our response that there will never be another Abraham. There does not need to be another Abraham. The Abraham message is exactly what it is. It is exactly perfect. And it's connecting with the audience that it needs to connect with. That message has done a lot to advance consciousness across the planet. But it is filtered through a human being that has a set of intentions and a set of experiences. And David's intentions and experiences are different. Even though, not coincidentally, they are both Pisces. They were born just a few days apart, exactly 20 years different. He is an evolution of that message. our teaching is an evolution of that message. And that does not mean that we are better than or more than or above or anything of that nature. But everything is evolutionary. And the message that she is sharing, and Esther's sharing of the Abraham message, is through her intention, connecting with a specific audience with a specific set of wants and needs who are ready for that message, and it serves them well and will continue to do so well beyond Esther's human lifespan. The stream message, through David's intention, was meant to be an evolution even more unfiltered, even deeper, because David's life experience had perhaps more childhood trauma included. So him coming from that perspective of, yes, Abraham, I know that you want me to just be happy, but there are some things from my past that hold that happiness away. That was his vibration. And through that vibration, he co-created with our teachings, a set of tools that allowed him to heal his past. And people that are attracted to the deeper message, the Taya message, if you will, are those who are healing elements of their past to better inform their present and their future. And that was the intention all along. And now, years later, that's exactly what has unfolded for him and continues to unfold. And he is now facing what he would call the next frontier of moving more into being a full-blown teacher, fully merged with that which we are, and not holding on to bits of humanity that he used to hang on to, partially out of fear of letting go of his humanity. He understands now that his stepping into full-blown spiritual leadership and being a guru, if you will, is his humanity.
Yeah, the earth needs this at the moment. It's obvious that the earth is calling for teachers to come forth, and that's why they're coming forth. I like the fact that Abraham's obviously the starting point for a lot of people, and then we have Bashar, who's a B, and that's an interesting contrast with Bashar as well. I'm not sure how familiar David is with him, but it's more of a science fiction-y aspect of it. It's a fifth dimensional being that has a similar message to you, but it seems like is more technical, more talking about hybridization programs and
there is an audience that very much needs the energetic realm to be far more complex than it actually is, and able to appreciate it.
Right.
David's mind does not work like that. David's mind goes back to simplicity, ease, less confusion in the message, clarity. The energetic realm operates very simply. You hear of all of these multiple universal laws. The things that we would call true universal law, that are eternal law, are what you would call the law of attraction, that all creation occurs via attraction, all creation, every thought and everything from there all the way to full-blown creation of the universe is all via law of attraction. The second law is the law of polarity, that attraction is always governed or influenced, if you will, by polarity. There is always a fluctuation in the vibration that creates a tension that truly creates expansion. Because if you could create from consciousness the quote unquote perfect world where you all live in great abundance, you have every single thing that you want, and there is no contrast, there is no illness, there is no poverty, there is no disagreement, there would be absolutely no purpose for the physical environment in the first place, because you would never be wanting for anything more, because you would be in perfection. And in that perfect state, you would not be creating new, because you're in perfection. And if you're not creating new, you're not expanding. And you're all energetic beings. You're all expansive at your core, as we are. If you are not in an environment where you're wanting more, you're actually regressing. The universe would actually cease to be. Our energy would dwindle in that scenario. You are all part of us. You come to physical to discern a preference toward things that you want, including very often correction, change, progression, being more than, better than, changing. And in that desire, you create more new things than you ever would in an environment of perfection. Therefore, you are not here for perfection. It really is that simple. But very often human beings need to create human-like creatures and other dimensions that are like Earth but different, and other planets, which absolutely there is other life beyond Earth. But the focus upon all of that and is what we call the humanization of the energetic realm, trying to create a human-like creature to make sense of energy that you know is there, consciousness that you know is there, and giving it a physical quality, while our energy is not physical. We are not physical light. We do not have wings. We are not reptilian. We are not of other planets. It is interesting when you delve into these things. Notice that if you go off into a spiritual teaching that is somewhat tied to what you would call a science fiction vibration, that you are dealing with these creatures that are human-like but not human. You are dealing with beings on other planets who are always more intelligent than human beings. And you are tapping into this intelligence on this other planet that has more knowledge than human beings have, and bringing that back to Earth. What these humans are really tapping into is our consciousness, but they're filtering it by perceiving it as life on a different planet, or life perhaps from a different time, or some sort of higher being that is angelic, or ascended masters, and they are thinking of humans sitting around in white robes with long beards, sprouting wisdom that is very earthly. There's nothing wrong with any of this, but what you are encountering when you encounter David in the stream and others is less filtration. That has been the intention with David from day one. And notice that he has not gone and studied all these other things so much. That the lane, if you will, of Abraham was the most palatable to him because it wasn't so human-like. It was simply a stream of consciousness that was easy to comprehend, that felt right to him, felt like pure love, felt like a path to joy, and felt authentic. And he took that and shared what comes to him, his version of that, in a way that's even less filtered than that. Yeah. Because you will progress to a place vibrationally where you no longer fear the negative. You no longer need to just focus on being happy and that's it. You understand polarity. You understand that your vibration is going to flux. The frustration that can come from teaching such as that is that you're all vibrational beings. You're going to drop in vibration from time to time. What do you do with that time? Is it bad? Is it negative to be down there? Is it something that you got to heal yourself from and be at the top of your spiral all the time? The answer to that is no, because if you are at the top of your spiral all the time, you are manifesting and living in perfection. You are not manifesting any obstacles whatsoever, and your expansion ceases to be.
That's a very interesting point about, I mean, obviously the polarity is there for a reason. And I've seen that, and it's the way one approaches and labels fear. One is not afraid of the fear itself. One sees it as something to be embraced and something to be learned, something new. And it was interesting, the idea of trauma, how that is essential for, in some ways, a strong desire to come forth. And the earth itself has experienced so much trauma in the last 20th century, all these wars. I was thinking about how these concepts don't even work anymore. We can't even imagine such a situation of like that war, World War II, happening now. It's just not in my repertoire of thoughts, and it's like, but we had to go through that polarity and that negativity in order to desire a peaceful earth. If we want to go back to, you mentioned a little bit of astrology with Pisces, but it's supposedly the age of Aquarius now, right? It's just an idea you know, that of a transition into another form of consciousness. I don't know if you can say something about that, if that's a, is it a nice way to put it? Or, I mean, we're going to still have polarity, we still have war, but our polarity will be different. It won't be dealing with, I would assume, such physical, harmful things. Am I maybe jumping too far in this belief?
We have been saying ever since David began sharing our message publicly, we have been sharing that you are ascending to a higher and higher vibration across your planet, and you have created this scenario for yourselves where you now have the technology to communicate across your planet with mediums such as this, like you never have before. You have social media, you have an availability of information almost globally at this point. And coming together and communicating in that way, you all are also educating yourselves to a higher degree. You're questioning the things that you've been taught. The things that served your grandparents did not serve your parents, and the things that served your parents do not serve you. You are all generational, and you were all born up to speed with the time that you enter this environment. And those that are entering now are born up to speed with the technology and the thought of now, and are going to continue to question and question and question. And notice there has been a big shift in the last couple of generations in automatically trusting the government and automatically trusting your religious institutions. On the whole, there have always been individuals that have questioned these things, but the majority of people used to follow the rules as they were told. They were part of what we call society building. Society building went on planet Earth for quite some time. It culminated at its peak probably in your 1950s, when everyone, the mainstream idea was to follow what the government told you to do, to live the life that you were told to live, and to behave in the way that your clergy told you to behave. That was sort of the peak of that time. After that, you had a great pushback and a questioning of, because that was certainly not working for everyone. And more, the momentum began to gain on questioning your governments and your religion. And here you are now in your year 2020, questioning these things like never before and watching them crumble beneath you. These institutions that have held your planet together and created, with contrast, expansion, society building, if you will, are faltering now. More and more, very rapidly, because you are questioning their usefulness. You are questioning your need for them. You no longer need them, and you see that. And you all are coming to understand like never before that you create your own bubble of reality. And if you focus on creating your bubble of reality, more and more of you are doing that. And when you begin focusing on creating your bubble of reality and understanding your eternal nature and understanding vibration, you step into a higher level of power, which ultimately culminates in you being in a higher vibration. And that is happening with the collective now. And that happening with the collective and the questioning how you treat your planet and how you treat each other is exactly what has driven this that we call the reset, which many of you are calling your pandemic. It is a combination of how you've been treating your planet and how you've been treating each other, and you're questioning your government, you're questioning your religion. And notice that it's coming to a boiling point. And what happens next is always up to the collective consciousness focus. That is why we are not going to come on any program and tell you exactly what's going to be next, because there's infinite possibilities. And we are not going to take that away from humanity. That is not up for our decision. That is up to humanity's collective consciousness. We are not influencing any of this. We do not have a desire. Our desire is for humanity to play out as it's going to play out, based on the collective consciousness focus. That is how the universe is created and expands. If we had a set plan for humanity, there would be no purpose in humanity. You are coming here and co-creating our expansion with your creation. And your creation is driven via your desire for more or change or correction of some sort. And that desire, that manifestation of unwanted things is driven by polarity. Mm-hmm. Polarity exists to deliver a combination of wanted and unwanted things, always. And as long as you have polarity, and as long as all creation occurs via the law of attraction, those are the two universal laws. You are going to have expansion as a result. So whatever's going on planet Earth even if it is a storm, if you will, and Earth creates its own storms with weather patterns, and humanity certainly creates storms, just as you create storms in your lives. The storms serve the purpose of expansion. So you are in a storm with your pandemic, by and large throughout humanity. But not all of you are participating in the storm. David is described as the ones practicing Thai are not paying attention to the storm. They are paying attention to their joy and their clarity and their abundance. And they are receiving that in turn. You all hold the ability to do this. And more of you are going to come through this period, perhaps stripped of your resources, the things that you think you have to be happy, stripped so much that you have nothing left to do but trust your abundance. And in trusting your abundance, receive it. Release fear. Release the need to control the outcome. Trust the universe yourselves to deliver everything that you want and need, and see that it works. David proved that to himself prior to this pandemic so that he can teach it during and after the pandemic. That's what you are part of right now in this interaction, and that's what you are witnessing. And you are all going to come into your knowing that you are able to do this if you are choosing to believe teachings such as this, meaning trusting yourself, trusting your own inner guidance, believing in your ability to do or be or have anything that you want, releasing fear, not feeling the need to obey a set of rules from us, not feeling the need for us to predict your outcome for you, not feeling the need to even worship a deity. We guide you away from that. We have said all along, we are the source of all creation. We do not need to be worshiped by anyone. Why would we? We are here to co-create with you, and we stand in awe of your creation always.
Well, thank you for the guidance. And I find it always fascinating that when I studied in school or university, that it took whiles, something that I just did not understand, right? So, but when I hear these messages and at this, I realize it's one-to-one. I've never, in a channel message, there hasn't been many times where I did not understand. Like the understanding comes immediately, like, and I just find that reaffirming. And
it is because you are part of it.
Yeah.
It is your co-creation always.
It is. Yeah. And I'm very appreciative that it's becoming so clear in 2020. And I thank you very much. I guess because of time, I would love to talk another time with you, but I'm guessing David has things to do, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Very good. Much love.
Much love back.
That's all we have.
Wow. Thank you very much, David. That was great.
Wow. I felt like that was good.
No,
yeah.
That's, I'm just, amazing. And I love watching these later and getting little bits and pieces out of it too. Where
I like to go back and watch the do because I don't remember. It's funny. I was going to joke that, I've never come out of that and said, well, that was an awful session. They were terrible.
No. That's and you're feeling.
They were really off their game today, the stream. Wow. No, I've never said that. It's always good.
No. And the feeling for you is always elation and high vibration.
Oh, when I come out of it, I am just buzzing always. Wow. There's times that I don't know if you've seen some of the videos. There's times when it's been really a powerful interaction where I'm crying.
Wow. Yeah.
The tears are just
the release
from my eyes. Yeah. But I always have that buzzy feeling, and notice the video is starting to speed up now. Did it speed up on your end?
No, but I always know these synchronicities, like the light changes, the focus changed.
Yeah. The camera, the internet connection seems to change. All this stuff seems to change as they out and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Stream.
Really
and the one thing that's really awesome about it, but it's like really hard to grasp on. It's like, oh, we're gonna make it harder for ourselves in the next incarnation. Like,
nobody ever wants to hear that, but they do say that. Yeah, they said one time was, if you think this life is difficult, just wait. The next one will be worse.
Thank you, higher self.
No, I don't want to hear that. No, but what I do like about that message, though, if you think about, the little child that's born into illness and poverty or something like that, when you flip it and you think of, wow, that is a highly advanced soul seeking a very high degree of contrast, and they're here purposefully. It gives you more appreciation for their experience. It doesn't mean that you can't do something to try to aid their situation. and want more for them, but it gives you a whole different perspective of that. And you don't feel like the world is so broken. Then you understand that, wow, that's a human being that's a soul conscious being that's placing themselves in the path of that on purpose because of the experience that can deliver. That's a really unique way to look at that. And we're taught to feel sorry for people and to be victims and all of that sort of thing. And, it doesn't really serve a purpose for us to feel that way about ourselves or even other people.
No. It's a very empowering message. And yeah, it's come the time that we can accept it. That's what the point is. Like before we couldn't have accepted these things, it would have been hearsay, to say that, that child suffering is not a victim.
Well, it's just about thinking a little deeper about everything.
Yes.
Okay, it's very easy to say that's horrible, that's awful, I don't want that for them, and it's okay to think that way. But let's think a little deeper about what's available in that experience, and also that other person is in their own vibration, living what they're living.
Yep.
That you can't take your perspective from your vibration and plop it into that other person's experience with all your judgment of it. Yep. And understand how they're viewing their experience. Those children living in villages, starving to death, have a different perspective. And yes, I want them to be fed, of course. And I want them to be okay. But they are coming from that perspective of this is their reality and their experience, and perhaps don't even know any different, or even if they do, they're viewing it through their human eyes, and we can't put our human judgment on that.
No.
That gives you some peace, because at the end of the day, we're not going to save humanity from itself. No. There's going to be disagreement. There's going to be illness. There's going to be things that happen. We can work to change it. Somebody was saying the other day something about, bringing peace on earth by a certain year, not very far off. And it sounds nice, but how are you going to do that? Right now, you're in the United States, right?
No, I'm in Germany.
Oh, you're in Germany. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we should have said that in the beginning, but I'm in Leipzig, so that's the time difference aspect is.
Wow, technology is great, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, here in the United States, we have these protests going on. We have people that are so angry about the virus. We have people that are angry about having to wear masks. We have people that are terrified, staying at home, not leaving their house because they're so scared. I saw we went running this morning, and I saw people, just so covered. I'm like, how are you running with a mask on? I couldn't breathe, But when I go to a store, I put a mask on. I don't care. I had to go to Lowe's the other day, to a hardware store, and get some stuff. I stuck a mask on. No big deal.
Yep.
They ask you to wear a mask, wear a mask. But there's other people that are so angry. They're shooting videos of themselves at retail stores, arguing with these poor people that work in these retail stores, about having to wear a mask. Just wear the mask or don't go in. It's as simple as that. But people make things so complicated. So you're going to go from there to world peace in less than 10 years. How's that going to happen? And what's that going to do for us once we're there and we're all just agreeing with each other all the time?
No, we came here for the spice. That's we have to accept that. And I think that's probably a good way to end the podcast, is that life's a game. And I think we kind of chose a very scary but fun roller coaster to be on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for what's next. Let's be excited about it. Whatever it is. Whatever it is, let's be excited for what's next, because we're all eternal beings. This life is going to end for all of us at some point. We know that. So why not enjoy the time that we have? And if you're living in fear and you're so worried about what's next, you're really holding yourself away from the joy that's available, regardless of what's going on in your life.
Absolutely. And so I want to thank you very much, David, and the stream also. Although they don't need my thanks, they're good with it, But I'm very appreciative, and I wish you the best of luck with your course, and I'm sure it will become it will come to the right people. That's the point. And thank you very much.
Certainly, I appreciate you having me on, Justin.
Cool. Have a great day.
You too.